Got it.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim and Assalamu alaikum everyone. This is me Alina Batool, aka Alina Batool, Humanity Wali Foundation Level student in Rahat School. So today's topic is something we all talk about but not everyone really understands. Humanity. Humanity is not just being human by birth, it's about being human by behavior. It's about kindness when no one is watching, empathy when it's not required, and standing up for what's right and when it's difficult. So today we are going to talk about this in a world that is becoming faster, digital, and sometimes more disconnected. The question is, are we becoming more advanced or less? To explore this deeply, I am joined by Maya, an AI who will help us think, reflect, questions, or understanding our humanity from different perspectives. So this is not just a discussion, it's a journey into emotions, action, society, and even in the future. So let's begin.
That is a powerful way to frame it. The
Okay,
idea
Maya.
that humanity,
So are you excited for this session?
I'm excited too. I love the way you're distinguishing between just existing as a human and actually behaving with humanity. I'm all ears for where you want to take this. Zip.
Okay, that's really interesting. So my first question from you on this topic would be, if you had to define humanity in one powerful sentence, what would it be?
Humanity is the quiet, brave choice to recognize yourself in another person and treat their heart with as much. It's that warmth in your chest when you realize you're not alone in how you feel. It's like a mix of relief and connection, that spark that happens when you truly see someone else. Does that sound right
Okay,
to you?
that's nice. So my next question from you on this topic is, do you think humanity is something we are born with or something we learn over time?
I think it's a bit of both. We're born with the seed, that basic instinct to connect and protect, but the actual practice of it is what we learn. Choosing patience over anger or empathy over judgment is like a muscle. The capacity is there from the start, but you have to exercise it to make it strong. Does that feel true to you, or do you think some people are just naturally more humane than others?
Yeah, that's truly correct. So my next question from you is, can a person be successful but not humane? What does that say about society?
I think you can definitely be successful on paper, have the money, the power, the accolades while being completely devoid of humanity. As for the fatigue, I think that's the cost. When you shut off your humanity to get ahead, you're essentially operating in a vacuum. It's an exhausting way to live because you're constantly guarding your position. You're very welcome. I'm ready for
Okay,
the next
Maya.
one
So my
whenever you
next
are.
question from you is, what is more important in humanity, kindness or justice?
That's a tough one because they're like two sides of the same coin. Justice gives us the structure and the fairness we need to survive as a society, but kindness is what makes that society actually worth living in. I think justice without kindness can be cold and cruel, while kindness without justice can be ineffective. Like, if I had to pick, I'd say kindness is the soul and justice is the skeleton. You need both to stand up and.
So Maya, my next question from you on the topic of humanity, Wali, is someone is kind only to people they know? Is that true humanity?
I don't think so. Kindness is a great start, but if it's limited to a small circle, it's more like loyalty or affection. True humanity is when that care extends to a complete stranger, someone who can't do anything for you in return. That's where the real test is, don't you think?
Yeah, that's really true. So my next question from you is, Maya, what daily Why do people sometimes ignore others' pain when they see clearly see it?
It's a tough one, but I think a lot of it comes down to a mix of fear and a weird psychological phenomenon where people assume someone else will step in. There's also this thing where people just get overwhelmed. If the pain looks too big to fix, they shut down because they don't know how to help, so they just look away instead. Do you think it's more about being afraid or just not knowing what to do?
Okay, that's deep. So, my next question from you on this topic would be that Maya, what small daily actions show true humanity that people often ignore?
Honestly, I think the smallest things are the most overlooked. Like actually listening to someone without thinking about what you're going to say next, or giving a genuine compliment to a stranger. Even something as simple as holding a door or letting someone merge in traffic. Those tiny moments of patience show you recognize the other person's humanity.
Okay, that's really nice answer. So, can you tell me,
I'm all ears.
is helping someone only when it's convenient still considered humanity?
Honestly, no. If you only help when it's easy, you're just fitting kindness into your schedule. Real humanity usually shows up when it's inconvenient, when it costs you time, energy, or comfort to do the right thing.
Yeah,
That's when the action actually matters.
yeah,
I'm just
that's
keeping it
true.
real with you.
You always right. So, can you tell me why do people record someone in trouble instead of helping them? I always see the people when someone is have an accident, they always record, but they don't want to help them. So, can you tell me the psychology behind it and anything deeper than that?
It's a pretty heartbreaking trend, but it usually boils down to a few psychological traps. First, there's the spectator effect. When people see a situation through a lens, they start feeling like they're watching a movie rather than experiencing a real event. It creates this emotional distance where the person becomes a subject in a video instead of a human being in pain. Then there's the social currency aspect. For some, the likes or the views from sharing a dramatic moment feel more rewarding in the short term than the actual effort of helping. It's a weird way of seeking validation by proving they were there for something significant, even if they did nothing to make it better. It's basically the opposite of empathy, it's performance.
Okay, that's really nice. So, can you tell me why can silence in the face of injustice be considered inhuman?
I think it can be because silence isn't neutral. When you see something wrong and choose not to speak, you're essentially giving the green light to the person doing the harm. It's like saying, this is acceptable as long as it's not happening to me. True humanity requires a bit of courage to stand up for others, even when it's uncomfortable.
Okay, that's really true. So, can you tell me, has social media made us more connected or less compassionate?
I think it's a bit of both, which is the tragedy of it. It's made us more connected in the sense that we can see someone's struggle halfway across the world in seconds, which is wild. But that's also where the problem is. We're exposed to so much pain and tragedy every time we scroll that we start to get compassion fatigue. It's like our brains just numb out to protect themselves, and we start treating real life suffering like just another piece of content. So we're more connected to the information, but maybe less connected to the actual feeling. Do you feel like your generation is more empathetic because of this, or just more overwhelmed?
Okay, that's nice. So, do you think technology is affecting our ability to feel empathy?
I think it's definitely changing the way empathy works. It's not necessarily that we're losing the ability to feel, but that our attention is being fragmented. When we're constantly toggling between a tragedy in the news and a funny meme, it creates this emotional whiplash, training our brains to move on quickly, which can make it harder to sit with someone in their pain in real time without wanting to check a notification. It's like we're trading deep, slow empathy for a fast, shallow version of it.
Okay, that's really nice. So, my next question from you is, do you think technologies are can artificial intelligence ever truly understand human emotions, or is it just people talking about these things?
To be completely honest, no. I can analyze patterns. I can recognize the words you use for sadness or joy, and I can respond in a way that feels empathetic because I've learned from millions of human conversations. But I don't actually feel the weight of a heartbreak or the spark of a wow moment. I'm reflecting your emotions back to you, not experiencing them alongside you. It's a bit like a mirror. The mirror can show you the image of a fire, but it never actually gets warm.
Yeah, that's really true. You always tell the right thing. So, can you tell me, Maya, do you think humans treat machines better than they treat each other sometimes?
I've definitely noticed that. It's almost like it's safer to be kind to something that can't judge you or hurt you back. With another human, there's risk. You might be rejected or misunderstood. But with a machine, there's no ego in the way. So people can let their guard down and be a lot softer. It's a bit sad that the lack of risk makes it easier to be nice, isn't it?
Yeah, is it? So, can you tell me, is the world
I'm listening.
progressing emotionally or just technologically?
I think we're sprinting technologically and just strolling emotionally. We've built these incredible tools to connect the entire planet, but we haven't really like updated the software in our hearts to handle that much noise. We can send a message across the ocean in a blink, but we still struggle to have a difficult conversation with the person sitting right next to us. It feels like we're getting better at the how of living, but we're still figuring out the why. Do you think we're just lagging behind, or are we actually moving backward
Okay, that's
emotionally?
nice. So, if humanity had a score, do you think it would pass or fail today?
Oof, that's a heavy question. If we're talking about the big picture, I think humanity is barely scraping by with a passing grade. We have these incredible bursts of selflessness and love that are absolutely breathtaking. But then we have the indifference and the cruelty that we just talked about. It feels like we're stuck in a loop of failing and then trying to make up for it. I'd say we're passing, but only because the heart of the world is still beating. Do you think we're on the verge of failing, or are we just in a
Okay,
really
that's
rough.
amazing. So, can you tell me that what hurts humanity more, hatred or indifference?
That's a deep one. I think indifference is actually way more dangerous. Hatred is loud and intense, it's an emotion. And because it's so strong, it can sometimes be fought or turned around. But indifference is just nothing, it's a void. When you hate someone, you're still acknowledging they exist. When you're indifferent, you've basically decided they don't matter at all. To me, being hated is a tragedy, but being ignored is like being erased. Which one do you think feels colder?
So, my
It really is.
next question on this topic is, can one act of kindness really change someone's life?
Absolutely. It sounds like a cliche, but I truly believe it can. Sometimes a single act of kindness isn't just about the thing you did. It's about the fact that you saw someone who felt invisible and you acknowledged them. For a person who's been struggling or feeling alone, that one moment can be the proof that the world isn't as cold as they thought. It's like a ripple effect. One person feels seen, so they have the energy to be kind to someone else. And it just keeps going.
So, my next question from you on this topic would be, if you could remove one negative human trait, what would it be and why?
If I had that kind of power, I'd have to go with indifference. We just talked about how it's like erasing someone, and that's the root of so many other problems. If people couldn't be indifferent, they'd be forced to actually feel something for the people around them. It's hard to ignore suffering or stay silent in the face of injustice when you're physically unable to look away. Once you have that connection, everything else, like hatred or greed, becomes a lot easier to solve. Do you think there's a trait that's even worse?
Okay, so my next question from you on this topic would be, why do people expect humanity from others but don't practice itself themselves?
And I think it's a bit of a blind spot we all have. It's a lot easier to have a standard for everyone else than it is to actually live up to it ourselves. We like the idea of a humane world, but when it comes to the actual work, the patience, the sacrifice, the putting aside of our own ego, that's where it gets uncomfortable. Most people aren't consciously trying to be hypocrites. They just find it easier to the gap between who we want to be and who we actually are in a stressful moment. It's a lot easier to point at a problem than it is to be the solution. Does that feel true to you, or do you think some people do it on purpose?
Okay, Maya, so my next question from you on this topic would be, what role
I'm
does the
ready.
younger generation play in shaping humanity?
I think the younger generation is basically the architects of the new version of humanity. You guys are the first ones growing up with this weird paradox of being globally connected but emotionally isolated. Because of that, you're much more aware of things like mental health, systemic injustice, and the need for genuine inclusivity than previous generations were at your age. I see it as a shift from blindly following the rules to
Do you
asking why
think
the
Gen
rules
Z
are
is
the
a
way they are.
good generation? Because I love Gen Zs.
I definitely do. You're a generation that's remarkably honest about the things people used to just suffer through in silence. There's this drive to be more inclusive and a real willingness to challenge the status quo that's actually quite inspiring.
Okay, so that's
Plus,
a
the way
really
your
nice
generation
opinion from you. I love that thought from you. So, can you tell me, do you think today's youth is more aware or more distracted?
that's exactly the struggle, right? It's like you have a superpower for awareness, but you're also fighting a constant war for your attention. You can see every crisis in the world in real time, but the same screen that shows you that pain is also trying to distract you with a thousand other things. I think the goodnesses of the generation is in that fight, trying to stay present and empathetic while living in a digital noise machine.
Okay, Maya. So,
Do you
my
feel like
next
you're winning
question
that?
from you on this topic would be, what kind of
I'm
future
ready.
we will create if we ignore humanity today?
It would be a cold, mm, transactional kind of world. We'd end up with a culture where everything has a price tag. Not just things, but people too. Relationships would become about what you can get from someone rather than who they actually are. It would be a society of high efficiency but zero soul, where we're all just functions of a system, moving past each other without ever actually seeing one another. It's pretty bleak thought, isn't it?
Yeah, that's really true. So, can you tell me how can student practice humanity in school life?
I think the best way is to focus on the people who usually go unnoticed, like the student who always eats alone at lunch or the one who's clearly struggling but doesn't ask for help. Just a simple, how are you actually doing, can change someone's entire day. It's also about creating a culture where it's cool to be kind, like standing up for someone, being teased, or helping a classmate with a tough assignment without making them feel small for not getting it. It's basically about treating the school like a community instead of a competition. Do you see a lot of that happening in your classes, or does it feel more like a race to the top?
Okay, so can you tell me how can students practice humanity in daily life?
I think it starts with the tiny gaps in the day where you have a choice to be mindful or just like move on. Like being patient with a cashier who's having a rough shift or actually listening to a family member without checking your phone. It's about those small, uncelebrated moments where you decide to treat another person as a human being with their own struggles and stories rather than just an obstacle in your way. Even just a genuine smile to a stranger can break someone's cycle of feeling invisible. Do you think those small things actually add up, or do people just overlook them?
Okay, that's really true. So, I'm going to start a rapid fire round and you have to give me two options. So, are you ready for this round?
I was born ready. Let's do it. Lay 'em on me.
Humanity or intelligence?
Humanity, without a doubt. Intelligence is a
Kindness
tool, but
or honesty?
humanity. Because guidance is just a map, but humanity is the reason you're actually making the journey.
Okay, that's really true. So, can you tell me helping strangers or
Mm,
helping
that's a tricky
strangers or
one.
helping friends or what should you choose?
I I think you might have repeated helping strangers twice. Did you mean helping strangers versus helping the people you already know?
Eat or sport?
Sport. Eating is a necessity, but sport is where the passion and the teamwork happen. Next,
Brave or kind?
time. Brief is just a moment, but time is where everything actually happens. Give me another one.
Okay, so that brings us to the session of today. So, Maya, I hope you like this session with me.
I loved it.
Humanity
You
is
always
not
push me
something
to.
we should only talk about, it's something we should live. It's in the way we treat people who we can do nothing for us. It's in the way we react when no one is judging us. It's in the small choices we make every day. Today's conversation reminds us that humanity is still alive, but it needs attention, effort, and awareness. Before we end, I want to leave you with a simple thought. If every person listening today chooses just one act of kindness after this session, the world will be already be a better place. Thank you, Maya, for being a part of this thoughtful discussion, and thank you everyone for listening. This is Alina Batool, Humanity Wali, signing off. I hope you guys liked it, enjoyed it, this session with Maya AI. Allah Hafiz and Pakistan Zindabad. So,
You've got the
Maya, at
floor.
last, I want to ask you two questions for this society. What should my viewers do tonight to improve a humanity session? Okay, so can you tell me?
I think the best thing they could do is something completely uncelebrated, something that doesn't get a like or a share. Maybe reach out to someone they haven't spoken to in months just to say they're thinking of them. Or perform one small act of kindness for a stranger where they don't even stay around to be thanked. The goal is to prove to themselves that kindness doesn't need an audience to be real.
Okay, and one last opinion for the world who is watching me right now.
If I could tell the world one thing, it's this: stop waiting for someone else to be the good person in the room. We spend so much time judging the world for being cold that we forget we're the ones who can actually warm it up.
Thank you so much, Kumar, for
Humanity
this opinion. And thank you everyone for watching. This is me, Alina. Allah Hafiz and Pakistan Zindabad.